drinking every night and doing all this and beat you.
Yeah, it was bad.
If you look at the fight, he was much slower. He only threw a hook.
So here's what just happened. Tank Davis just unleashed the most brutal response to Jake Paul getting absolutely demolished by Anthony Joshua. And what the WBA lightweight champion is saying about Jake's destroyed jaw and missing teeth has everyone in boxing completely stunned. Davis couldn't contain himself after seeing those hospital photos of Jake's completely mangled face. People close to Tank's camp say he's been cracking up nonstop ever since watching Joshua obliterate the YouTuber this past Friday night in Miami.
He was going like tie him down and catch him with a good shot and shit like that.
So wait, do you think, curious, because it's a business aspect, but again, I'm still a nigga. And
Jake Paul just endured one of the most vicious beatdowns we've seen in modern boxing, hitting the canvas 4 separate times before getting knocked unconscious in round 6, and what happened afterward is somehow even more insane than the actual fight. By Saturday morning, Paul was posting disturbing hospital x-rays, revealing his jaw snapped in 2 different spots, proving what everybody watching already knew. The power that Anthony Joshua brings is light years beyond anything Jake has ever faced in his entire career.
But will you take care of me forever and ever?
3 in the morning, I can't sleep, my jaw's busted. They wired it up a couple hours ago and it hurts every time I move my mouth. I lost tonight, I gave everything and I still lost. Feels like
Paul's Instagram message read, "Double broken jaw, give me Canelo in 10 days. This completely delusional challenge instantly exploded across the internet, with countless boxing fans swarming the comments to ridicule Jake for getting utterly demolished and then immediately begging for an even deadlier opponent. But what Tank Davis said after seeing these gruesome injuries has sparked the biggest drama of the entire weekend, and his response has split the combat sports world right down the center. Now, before we dive into Tank's ruthless comments, the actual harm Jake Paul took is way more severe than most people understand, and the medical specifics are genuinely terrifying. Multiple sources from Miami University Hospital confirm Jake Paul needed urgent emergency surgery immediately following the bout, and medical staff worked all night long to fix the massive damage Anthony Joshua caused.
Got knocked out by Anthony Joshua this past Friday night, and so I want to break this down from a medical perspective. I'm a neurosurgeon with over 25 years of experience. And so, what happens is when you get hit in the head with that kind of force, like in boxing, our brain actually moves inside our skull and it can bump into the skull, which is a firm structure, and cause bruising of the brain.
People connected to Paul's surgical team verify that the operation went on for more than 4 hours, with doctors installing 2 titanium plates on both sides of his jaw just to keep the break stable. One medical source explained, the force from Joshua's finishing right hand was so incredible that it completely destroyed both sections of Jake's jaw bones at once. We typically only see this level of trauma in serious vehicle crashes. This explanation shows you exactly how terrifying Anthony Joshua's knockout power truly is, and why countless boxing professionals told Jake Paul that challenging a legitimate heavyweight king was basically suicide.
Brain. And over years and years of this happening, people can get what's called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE syndrome. And it's almost like a disease, because with repeated trauma to the brain, and that can lead to memory problems, mood swings, even trouble with movements, and eventually people can develop dementia, like Alzheimer's disease.
The fractured jaw wasn't even Jake's worst injury, and what surgeons found during the procedure has made everything even more disgusting. Hospital records show that Jake Paul had 7 teeth completely knocked out during the battle, with multiple others becoming loose and needing immediate removal to stop potential infections. Paul confirmed the dental destruction in his own Instagram update, posting, 2 titanium plates on both sides, several teeth pulled, can only drink liquids for the next week. This harsh truth of heavyweight combat has left Jake's followers stunned, especially those who genuinely thought their champion could hang with elite-level competition.
だけど あなたは永遠に私を大事にしてくれますか?
Jake Paul gets his jaw broken. Not only that, but he gets his lower jaw broken from the right and the left side. So both sides. And not only this, following that, he went through an emergency surgery procedure to get that sorted out. And titanium plates were inserted to help stabilize the case. This will take.
The boxing world has been torn between people feeling sorry for Jake's damage and others claiming he received exactly what he earned for constantly challenging legitimate professionals. Now this is where everything gets completely insane. Tank Davis has been observing this whole mess with what people describe as total amusement and joy. Tank was originally scheduled to battle Jake Paul this past November before legal complications scrapped their match. And plenty of observers think Davis is privately thankful he didn't have to meet the YouTube sensation under the weird terms Paul's team was pushing.
A couple of times, pushed down on the back of his neck, pushed down on the back of his head, got him to the ground. There was a few times where Jake looked like he was going for a takedown. Again, that was Jake trying to engage in the clinch, and AJ smartly moved back. In one instance, I think it was the 5th round, Jake engaged for a clinch, AJ moved back and started punching down.
Sources inside Davis's circle say Tank has been dropping messages in private group conversations, absolutely destroying Jake Paul over the injuries and knockout defeat. Someone from Tank's crew shared, Tank looked at those hospital images and couldn't stop dying laughing for 20 straight minutes. He kept repeating, I warned everyone this fool wasn't prepared for legitimate boxing. These behind-the-scenes remarks have been spreading across social platforms through different boxing media and fan pages, sparking huge arguments about whether Davis is crossing the line or simply telling the truth.
To Anthony Joshua sleeping Jake and breaking his jaw in 2 different places, along with breaking his teeth. Gervonta joined the fun with the rest of the boxing community by throwing a meme on Jake Paul. That was his reaction, as you guys see above.
Plenty of supporters think Tank has complete justification to ridicule Jake Paul, considering the YouTuber spent months openly disrespecting Davis and questioning his professionalism after their November bout got cancelled. The tension between these guys has been growing for months, and Jake Paul's savage beating from Anthony Joshua has handed Tank Davis perfect ammunition to return fire for all the insults.
Jake Paul was knocked out in round 6 and suffered 2 fractures to his left jaw. Here's the moment that did it.
And his chin served on a platter for that right hand right there. And look at Jake Paul's face.
There's no way I can share the actual injury here. It's a bit too gruesome as the camera was put inside Jake's mouth and his teeth were actually not in a straight line. They were separated from the others as the jaw deviated. The question is though, what kind of recovery process?
The wildest aspect of Tank's response happened when sources claim he began drawing comparisons between Jake Paul's wounds and what would have occurred if they had actually squared off in November. People around Davis say he's been telling his whole team that Jake actually got lucky facing Anthony Joshua rather than stepping in with him. One of Tank's sparring partners revealed, Tank keeps insisting that Joshua at least ended it fast and clean. Tank claimed if they had met, he would have tortured Jake for the full 12 rounds before finishing him just to send a message. These statements have created enormous discussion online, with boxing experts noting that Tank Davis at 14.5 pounds never could have delivered the physical punishment that Anthony Joshua brought at. Still, Tank's fans argue his accuracy and quickness would have given Jake far worse problems than Joshua's strength, making the fight much more humiliating for Paul.
Down on Jake's back. So all of those things kind of deteriorated or emptied Jake's gas tank a lot earlier than I think he expected it to. But overall, I thought he deployed his game plan well for the first 5 rounds and actually had some success. He even moved AJ back a few times, 1 by just jabbing in the air, and 2, when he caught him, he moved AJ.
The truth is, we'll never discover what might have happened between Tank and Jake. But their canceled showdown remains one of boxing's biggest mysteries. Jake Paul initially targeted Tank Davis back in August, and both camps spent months organizing an exhibition match for November in Miami. The September press event was tense and awkward, with Davis displaying zero excitement for the pairing while Paul made questionable remarks about Tank's education and criminal history. Davis labeled Paul a fraud during the presser, while Jake kept mentioning Tank's legal problems, building serious hostility between both fighters. Then in late October, just weeks before their planned fight, Davis's former girlfriend filed a civil case accusing him of assault, unlawful detention, and abduction. Most Valuable Promotions instantly pulled the plug, and Jake Paul launched into a massive social media attack, completely trashing Tank's personality and credibility. Paul posted on social media, "Tank Davis is literally human waste. Dealing with him was a complete disaster. The lack of professionalism, the crazy demands, arriving hours behind schedule for everything. Supporting this guy means supporting the worst crimes imaginable."
Yeah, he just represents everything that's wrong with boxing, unprofessionalism, and he's getting what he's reaping what he sows. But I hate working with people like that. He stands everyone up, film crews, everything, doesn't do any promotion.
These brutal attacks from Jake created lasting hatred between both fighters, and Tank has been looking for the right opportunity to strike back ever since. Tank Davis originally remained quiet about the cancellation, but this past December, he finally spoke up and returned Jake Paul's accusations.
Jake Paul was knocked out in round 6 and suffered 2 fractures to his left jaw. Here's the moment that did it.
Chin served on a platter for that right hand right there. And look at Jake Paul's face.
There's no way I can share the actual injury here. It's a bit too gruesome as the camera was put inside Jake's mouth and his teeth were actually not in a straight line. They were separated from the others as the jaw deviated. The question is though, what kind of recovery process Jake would be
According to multiple sources claim Davis insisted that Jake Paul actually backed out because he was getting destroyed in sparring sessions, not due to Tank's legal troubles. Tank shared and quickly removed several social media posts, including one saying, "MVP couldn't deliver anything. Al Heyman had to step in and handle everything. MVP is trash. You control nothing at Netflix." These vanished messages made the situation worse and proved that Tank Davis has zero respect for Jake Paul or his promotion company. Now, with Jake stuck in a hospital with a demolished jaw and missing teeth, Tank finally has undeniable evidence that his predictions about Jake being unprepared for real boxing were spot on.
AJ came right back in and swung, but he did move him back.
When this fight was first announced, you said to several media members that initially you weren't down for this fight. You thought it was just a little bit too much too soon, to paraphrase. Did he do better? Did Jake do better than you thought? Result aside, obviously you wanted him to win. You thought, I think by the end, that he was going to win, but did he actually do better than you thought initially?
Tank's brutal reaction has divided the entire boxing community, with different sides having totally opposing views on whether his attitude is justified. Old-school boxing fans have surprisingly supported Tank Davis, claiming Jake Paul created this situation by constantly insulting professional champions and treating boxing like entertainment. One veteran boxing reporter said, Jake Paul spent years calling out real title holders, mocking their abilities, and pretending he deserved to be in their company. Now he's discovered a very costly truth. Tank has complete right to say he warned everyone.
And doesn't do any posts, but it is what it is. I'm actually glad this all happened this way so that he doesn't get, the biggest paycheck of his life and just continues to be a piece of shit.
The Ring 4, November 22nd. Watch only on DAZN.
This viewpoint has connected with millions of serious boxing followers who've been waiting for someone to expose Jake Paul and reveal his boxing limitations. But Jake Paul's enormous fan base has attacked Tank Davis with matching fury, calling him a coward who's hiding behind legal excuses instead of proving himself in competition. One popular tweet defending Jake said, "At least Jake Paul had the courage to face Anthony Joshua. Tank Davis keeps fighting smaller opponents and then runs his mouth when real fighters get injured."
Yeah, there's a lot of punching down, practicing, hitting below my knees, and a lot of speed.
He warming up.
We're
now.
sparring.
That's what we need.
We're sparring.
Warm up.
some
I know one thing.
8-year-olds. I got
If
the
I find out
8-year-olds in there.
anything- If I find out anything, I'm gonna beat your ass and I'm gonna beat Jaden Love ass. On my mama, I'm gonna beat both of y'all ass. On my mama. And he laughing.
This opposing argument has gained serious momentum, particularly among younger supporters who view Jake as a fearless competitor for accepting such a risky fight on limited notice. The reality probably falls somewhere between both extremes. Jake Paul demonstrated real courage by meeting Anthony Joshua, but he was obviously overmatched and probably should have avoided the fight completely. Jake's injury situation has created serious doubts about his boxing future and whether he'll ever perform at the same level again. Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua's promoter, told reporters after the bout, "Respect to Jake. Broken jaws are really tough to recover from, but that final punch Joshua landed would have dropped plenty of heavyweights." This comment recognizes Jake's heart, while confirming the damage was serious and might have permanent effects on his career.
Right, listen, respect to Jake. You know, he was a tough guy in there. Obviously, he moved a lot and made it difficult for AJ. And AJ's been out of the ring for a while. He's a bit rusty. It took him time to just get hold of him, but I was impressed with Jake. And listen, as I said to Nikisa, at the end of the day, he took shots that a lot of people would have got knocked out clean out by, especially at the end. You know. So yeah.
Was it frustrating for you to watch?
No, I mean maybe like obviously when someone's moving like that.
Medical professionals experienced with jaw injuries have noted that Jake's particular damage, double jaw breaks needing titanium plates, usually requires 6 to 8 months of healing before contact sports become possible again. Several medical authorities think Jake might be out for all of next year, which would completely destroy his momentum and business plans. The dental reconstruction alone will require months to finish correctly, with Jake needing major work to replace his 7 lost teeth.
Respect to Jake Paul that we took a few rounds to get going because Jake was moving a lot and holding a lot, and you know it was difficult to nail him clean. I think, but eventually AJ took his time, cut him off, and smashed him about. And listen, respect to Jake Paul because that last shot, I know he shattered his jaw, but it would have knocked most heavyweights out. So I've got to give him credit.
I was going to say, in the end, are you pleased with that? Because obviously everyone was saying...
We'll argue that. He at least won 3. No one expected him to last that long. Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw, still fucking fighting, man. Like, that's tough. You know, most people wouldn't have the balls ever to step in a boxing ring in their life. He stepped in a boxing ring with one of the baddest men on the planet. Who's 40 pounds heavier than him and 6 inches taller. That's insane.
One dental specialist noted, "Losing 7 teeth from strike trauma is incredibly serious. He'll require implants, bone reconstruction, and likely several operations throughout the coming year." These lasting effects have made Tank Davis's ridicule appear even more heartless to some people, while others maintain Jake understood the dangers when he signed his contract. This fight's consequences have totally shifted the conversation around Jake Paul's boxing journey, forcing everyone to rethink what his sport future really holds. Anthony Joshua recognized Jake's courage during his post-fight interview, saying, "Jake performed well while he could. I respect him because many fighters won't step in with me, but Jake did."
And when they're rugby tackling you, but he had to do what he had to do to survive, and he did that. So, you know, it's very difficult to go in like, you know, out the ring for 14 months and just be razor sharp with a guy running. And so, yeah, probably 2 or 3 rounds more than expected. But fair play to Jake Paul. It was a lot tougher than I thought, and he took a lot more shots than I thought he could.
Joshua even hinted Jake might still have boxing potential, possibly against opponents closer to his size like Tank Davis or Ryan Garcia sometime next year. This created possibilities for a rescheduled Jake Paul versus Tank Davis fight, which would probably be even more massive now after all this controversy. The big question is whether Jake Paul will actually want to meet Tank Davis after experiencing the brutal reality of getting hit by Anthony Joshua.
Respect to Jake Paul for taking the fight. Took a heavy shot, but you know what a fantastic fight he put on. But big well done to AJ. We knew from day one AJ was going to do it, but the better fighter was going to win.
People said that Jake Paul was running. Do you feel like he ran, or do you like?
I mean, against someone like AJ, AJ's a big guy, strong guy, and he can hurt you. So yeah, 100%. Like he's gonna want to avoid his power, but you know what? He got caught in the corner.
Jake announced, "I'm coming back to fight people my own weight and pursue the cruiserweight world title eventually. I need to take some time off first." This comment shows Jake finally realizes he has no place competing at heavyweight. Social platforms have been completely flooded with jokes and memes about Jake's broken jaw and missing teeth, with Tank supporters driving the trolling campaign against the YouTuber.
Or Jake would have moved around the ring at 100 miles an hour. There's two things I would have done. Tried to shut Jake down at 100 miles an hour, or I would have gone on the back foot. So Jake decided to move around the ring, and I decided to put the pressure on. What I could have done better is a lot of things. 100%. In the fight game...
One popular meme displays Jake's pre-fight trash talk beside the hospital images, with the words "before" and "after" facing real boxing, shared millions of times. Another trending post shows Tank Davis smiling with text reading, "When you avoid a fight, then watch your replacement. Do exactly what you planned." These jokes have annoyed Jake's supporters, who think Tank is being cruel to someone who just suffered genuine physical trauma. The tough truth is that insults and mockery are built into combat sports, especially after fighters have been attacking each other for months. While Jake recovers over the next several months with his jaw secured and teeth being rebuilt, he'll have lots of time to consider whether pursuing his boxing career justifies these dangers.
We'll argue that he at least won 3.
Tank Davis remains positioned at lightweight's peak, watching his name go viral, as everyone argues whether he would have caused even worse damage than Anthony Joshua. The only method we'll truly know is if Jake Paul completely heals and chooses to reschedule their canceled bout sometime in the future.
Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw, still fucking fighting, man. Like, that's toughness. You know, most people wouldn't have the balls ever to step in a boxing ring in their life. He stepped in a boxing ring with one of the baddest men on the planet. Who's 40 pounds heavier than him and 6 inches taller. That's insane.
And for now, the boxing world will continue arguing, while Tank Davis keeps enjoying the brutal justice that Jake Paul faced for months of disrespecting legitimate professional fighters. That wraps up our coverage. For the latest updates on news, highlights, events, and developments in boxing, stick around by subscribing to our channel and make sure to hit notifications so you never miss premium content like this. See you next time. Take care.
Have graced us over the last 100 years, and the expectations that we put on ourselves are immense, but I tried my best. Jake done well while it lasted, but if you remember what I said in the interview with Cameron is, fighting's not just physical, it's